It's time now for You Made Me Watch, and Eric and I are going to talk about 3 things that patrons asked us to watch this time, or rather, there's one thing that I'm going to talk about that Eric didn't watch, but the other 2 things we both did, so that's exciting. And if you would ever like to have us review something, you can always go to Patreon and pledge at the $20 tier, and you can do that one time, or you can do it regularly. And we are almost maxed out at the number of those that we can take. We have so many folks doing this now, which is really cool. But we're going to get to a place where there is just not enough time in the week to do all of them. So we're keeping up with it. We're doing pretty well right now. We have some other things in the queue right now. So if your request is not being reviewed this time, never fear. You should get it next time on the next Omnibus. So anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it with Society, which was requested from Neil McCalmont. This is a B horror movie that came out in 1992 and is a really bizarre movie about a society, about a secret society that is that has some really strange supernatural origins. It turns out, and they're. I
thought you were going to say unconventional lifestyles.
They also have unconventional lifestyles, and it's this kind of typical but with a twist, kind of high society group that is literally rich people feeding on the on the lower class, and it turns out very very literally feeding on them in just the most grotesque way humanly possible. And it's and I say typical in that I expected it to be a cannibalistic society. I've seen this on a whole lot of things. There's a Spawn comic that I reviewed that does it, and I've seen it. I think there's a Buffy or Angel episode that goes to that place.
Yeah,
there's an Angel episode that does it.
Yeah,
where you have this really high class dinner that only members of this secret group are invited to. And then it turns out that they've kidnapped someone that they're gonna then feast on that night. And there's rituals, and much of the time it's kind of like a black magic kind of thing or something. This is not that.
No.
This has its roots very much in a more science fiction kind of place.
Yeah.
But that's my. You've been doing a lot of synopses today. I thought I'd do the synopsis
this
time. So that's my synopsis.
I loved it. And what's great, so this is directed by the producer of Reanimator, who also directs the Reanimator sequels. And
that's part of why Neil asked us to do this, because we had done Reanimator, and maybe he just wanted to see me squirm. I'm not sure.
I love that. More of these, please. Like I love watching Cap squirm. So
did you have to say it out loud? And I have to do Ash vs. Evil Dead next time. Somebody requested that.
That's great. I love that show. So. The thing is, while we're watching it, I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like, it just feels like a kind of regular, like, horror B movie for most of the film. I'm like, yeah, there's weird things going on. Like, there has to be a payoff. There has to be, like, this is the guy that produced Reanimator. Like why would this movie specifically be the one that was requested?
Almost college humor before horror, even. Through a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's still
where it's like unnerving and creepy and messed up, but almost more in a like real juvenile, immature, this is what idiot college kids are like.
Yeah,
we're like I said, it's got this unnerving tone where you can tell it's going somewhere, and you're just waiting for it to gross you out. And it opens with a scene that tries to tell you what kind of movie it's going to be, which I appreciate.
Although it doesn't really. Like, it's just a tense scene. Nothing really happens in that scene. And we keep getting these...
I guess that's true.
And we keep getting these hits.
I didn't expect it to get as gross as it got by the
Well,
end.
I kept waiting for that. That was the thing, was I was waiting for the thing where I'm like, okay.
I thought it would do something. I didn't think it would go to those places. Because, okay, Reanimator, it's real spread out.
Yeah.
You know, there's a scene that's just nuts and messed up and gross, and maybe there's a lot of blood and there's a lot of dismemberment, and then you have just scenes of people with just saying really strange, funny things to each other, and then we go back to that. This is all of those in-between scenes put up front, and then just 20 minutes of relentless.
Yeah.
Disgusting puppetry is the best way to put it. Disgusting puppetry.
And so I kept waiting. I'm like, okay, there has to be like some kind of payoff.
Wall to wall.
Because like this movie's kind of fun in the like B horror movie. Like nobody acts like people. None of the actors are good. We kept making like Power Rangers jokes. We're like and this guy get lost out to be Jason on Power Rangers. Like it's that kind of a thing. And I actually don't think that a lot of the beginning of the movie actually fully adds up. Like. Some of it, I believe, is people messing with him, but then there's other things where I'm like, I don't know why you're seeing the things you're seeing even by the end of the movie. But then we get to the end of the movie, and it's amazing. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
Why his friend put a blow-up doll in his truck. I have no idea why he did that.
I don't know. I don't know why his friend did most of the things he did. Where he's like, because you have that moment where he's. Well, I guess we could sum this all up with a single like quote from the film, which is, "It was all really weird."
That was the best line delivery in the entire movie. Yeah.
But then we get to the end. Can I kind of describe what happens at the end?
This, by the way, is available on Amazon Prime if you'd like to watch it.
Also, only the unrated cut is on Amazon Prime. The R-rated version you have to pay for. I want to know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Because it must just have a completely different ending. So
I imagine there are like some of the grossest and more in most bizarre stuff is cut out of the end. Like I'm sure all that still happens, but they probably just take the.
Was it like 5 minutes?
All the parts where I turn away. I imagine because I did.
Now you can vouch for me. I'm giggling through the entire 20 minutes of just. I was like, this is terrific. This is amazing. So this guy comes back to his home, and all the rich people are there.
You just kept stating the obvious over and over again. It's so weird.
So they're this weird. I want to say aliens, but they specify they're not aliens. They've been here as long as us, if not longer. There's some kind of weird other species that.
Right.
It seems to proposit that like all rich people are this, and that
I don't understand.
And there's not just a class differential, but there's like a species differential. But so he gets there.
Unless the idea is people get to a rich place where like they build it, because I was like, how do you account for like self-made men? Does this only work with like old money?
It might not. Yeah,
and then I thought maybe the idea is this alien species only goes after rich people because they want to be on top and it's easier to get away with what they're doing.
But they talk about breeding, which makes me think that you can't like really be brought into this. But the fact that one guy
the reason our main character or this what is he in college, this college kid is not one of them is because he was adopted by a couple of them, and I don't totally fully understand why they did that. Unless
it seemed to all just be getting to this point. Like there's a line when he comes in at the end where they're like, we've been doing all of this to get
elaborate
to this
kind of plan, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it that hard to find someone you can feed on? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure.
Or is it that you got to find someone that won't be missed? Because if it's your kid, maybe you won't be missed.
And also like
I had a lot of questions.
I think they're having fun with screwing with him throughout the entire film, maybe his whole life. I'm not sure. But so we get to the end.
Yeah.
And he walks in, and what we see is like a weird mass orgy thing that also includes eating people, and they don't like have bones or anything, it seems like, or they're very like shapeshiftery.
They're non-vertebrates, yeah.
Yeah, so they're like literally merging into each other, and they can change their form, and like it's all of this amazing puppetry, and it's all covered in what I assume is like the KY jelly thing. That's what they did for Alien. It's that like slime, like everything's gross and slimy, and it's amazing. Like if you like this kind of film, you should totally watch this movie. The first 2/3 of the movie are like a fun B horror movie kind of thing, and you get to the end, and it's insane.
I've seen these kind of prosthetics specifically for big, creepy, gross, like giant aliens. Like we did
like
this
thing.
We've done that. Well, but I'm thinking specifically like the kinds of aliens that are supposed to represent gluttony.
Mm-hmm.
We've done this in some Doctor Who. We did it. There's one in Angel.
The one in Blade.
Yeah.
Pearl.
And this is like that.
Frost, you need me.
Yeah,
Pearl. Yeah, but it's that.
But I've never seen it like this.
It's that, but they're mixing with each other, and they're not fat. They're just like stretching out,
right.
and like it's just like this massive flesh, and they're all feeding on a guy, and then like like people like turning around so that like their front is backwards, and like moving their anatomy.
Yeah, like it's like they're merging with each other, but when they feed on people, it's almost like they're somehow merging with the person too. Is what it looks like, because
and they got that snout thing that we're like when they're feeding on them, they don't just, it's not like eating.
It looks
like
as
literally
if it's almost
sucking something out of them,
as if it's almost changing your physical properties when they eat you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, no, this is so weird, and I really liked it. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything quite like this.
Yeah.
Which is the highest compliment I can pay to a film like this. Is
sure,
I've never seen this before.
Yeah, same here. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, it did what I think it was supposed to do, which is just, you know, make me feel real squeamish and unnerved.
Well, and it's funny because I said something.
This is not my kind of thing. I don't think I liked this movie, but I get why people with certain sensibilities do. I was able to appreciate the I was able to appreciate the absurdity and the you know, the over the topness of it. Like obviously
that guy with the cigar. Yeah, he's just so
great.
over the top.
Yeah, like it obviously knows what it is. I want to appreciate the social commentary. It's not any thicker than what it comes right out and spells itself out as.
Yeah, it's not saying anything like super smart.
I could have gotten that from it without them coming out and saying that. So you know that I didn't need that.
I'm actually not sure we could have, because we weren't fully sure what was happening.
That's true.
And then they say that, and I'm like, okay, so it's because he's adopted, and somehow that makes him poor, even though he lives with a rich family.
Yeah, and like he's bullied at school for being a rich kid.
Well, no, for being adopted.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's because he's not.
No,
he's not really one of them.
But he gets. Okay, but I thought he was also getting chastised by poorer kids for being a rich kid. I thought there was that also.
I think he gets. I mean, a cop says something to him. I don't think the poor kids make fun of him. It's certainly an experience.
Yeah.
After the movie, I said something. You're like, yeah. The parts of it I saw, because you had to turn away from a lot of this movie. I never turned away. I was.
Which means it either looked as realistic as it could, or it's just.
It doesn't have to look realistic. It's just gross.
Sure, but I guess I'm just saying, like, does the fact that it was gross enough that I had to turn away mean that it was realistic in some way?
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. You cover anything in enough jelly and it looks gross.
It just looks gross, yeah.
And on top of that, it looks kind of like flesh. Like it's that, yeah.
And there are things that, and I guess it's just, you know, my own personal sensibilities and things I find gross, because, I mean, these things are all relative and subjective, but, like, when they would have a face that they put their hand through, like, that didn't bother me, and it looked really cool.
But it also did look fake. It looked like they were putting their hand through a mask.
There were a couple places where it looked better than that.
But that was...
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a couple of shots in Beetlejuice.
Oh, interesting. It reminds me of Mission Impossible when they pull off their masks.
Oh, yeah, that too, sure.
It's...
But I'm talking about specifically the bird face thing. You know what I'm talking about in Beetlejuice?
No, it's been a long time since I watched Beetlejuice.
Where the dead parents keep messing with their faces. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like it's a real similar prosthetic effect.
Yeah.
That always stuck with me from when I was a kid. It really creeped me out.
I'm trying to think of it. There's a movie that does like a stretched face thing, and I can't think what it is. But where like their face is like stretched. I can't think what it is. But I had something like kind of like a final. This is one of those movies though where like I wouldn't necessarily go to bat for this movie the way I would Reanimator. Like I think Reanimator's a little bit better acted, a little bit better written. I don't get to the end of Reanimator and not really sure everything adds up. I'm not saying this is a good movie. It's not, but I enjoyed it and I would watch it again. And a lot of horror I think falls under that. Where like it's not actually, you could remake this movie and make it better.
Yeah. I think Reanimator is one of the better movies in its category, I guess.
Well, What's Armored Darkness, that's what I'm thinking of, where he gets the stretch face.
Yeah, okay,
so, yeah. I don't know, like, it's one of those things, like, objectively, critically, I don't think most of this movie works. I don't think the character stuff works that well. I don't even think they're communicating things to me that I think they think they're. I didn't get that he was adopted till like near the end of the film. I just somehow missed that. I didn't think that was super well communicated.
in not the good way. It kind of feels like they're making it more for themselves, and they kind of don't care if you know what you're looking at.
But I don't care because the ending is spectacular, and so like. And the first bits of the movie are not good, but they're the good kind of not good. We're like, I'm still enjoying watching it.
No, I was
it's not
by some of that stuff, but because I was watching it with you and we were laughing at things, I could not have watched this by myself. That would have been no fun at all.
I loved it so much.
No, and when Neil said that he wanted to show us this because of Reanimator, I was like, I'm not watching that by myself. Like I'm gonna force Eric to watch this with me.
Thank you, Neil. I'm really glad. I've never even heard of this.
Me neither. I did not know this existed.
So I'm glad that I now know about this. I'm not.
No, I'm getting quite the education from Neil's picks. Let me tell you. I don't know. Neil is the if you keep going with this, is the next thing gonna also be like
it'll
as
probably be
violent and bloody as humanly possible?
Because we've got Shogun Assassin in this,
yeah.
so
he goes for the stylized brutality.
No, I really like your sensibilities. I'm excited to see what the next thing is.
But that doesn't mean you have to pick things like that.
No, you don't have to pick something like this, and Cap might not be able to handle another one of these, but not for a while. Let him decompress a little bit. But
I was saying I don't want to get our expectations to a certain place where Neil's like, well, I was gonna pick a documentary, but I guess not.
But no, of the two, I like the kind of things he's having us watch.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for what's.
Two does not a pattern make, but I feel like we're getting to know Neil.
Yeah. Neil has very similar sensibilities to me. I think.
I think he does too. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what comes next.
Thanks, Neil. You're great. And now,
and just for you, at some point, we're going to do a Maximum Overdrive commentary.
Have you now announced this publicly?
Sure, I've now announced this. We're going to do a Maximum. I bought the DVD.
We are going to do it, and one of the things with the way I'm kind of refocusing and restructuring things on the channel that I like to do more of is more regular commentaries. I'm not going to promise one every week, but I'd like to try to get back to at least a couple of those a month. And if folks seem to really like the commentaries, they're a lot of fun for us to do. But yeah, so we're gonna do.
I'm just taking a wild guess based on
Maximum Carnage, Maximum Overdrive.
Green Goblin is in it.
That's right.
I'm gonna take a wild guess based on the two films that Neil has picked.
Yeah.
That he will be excited for us to do a commentary for Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, probably so. Anyway, thanks again, Neil. We appreciate you, buddy. The next thing I'm going to talk about on my own, all solo, is James Cameron's Dark Angel. I got this from David Crabtree. He actually sent us this in the mail a long time ago.
I've always meant to watch this because I like James Cameron.
Yeah, and he asked me to talk about this for.
And I think it's cyberpunky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of cyberpunky, or I don't know. There's generically, maybe it could get more to that place. One of the main characters in this is leading kind of an underground rebellion against the system kind of thing, and he's doing that with computers. But it's a world. I guess I'll get into it. You got to stop making me jump ahead.
Sorry.
But anyway, so this is this came out in 2000. I watched the pilot. I meant to watch the next episode after that, and time got away from me. I didn't get a chance to. But I wanted to talk about this while it was fresh in my mind. So David, I'm sorry I didn't watch the episode right after this, but it was a 2-hour pilot, so I at least watched 2 hours of this.
It's like a movie.
And yeah, and so, but I will probably give this a chance and watch a little bit more of it. I will say right off the bat, I was not in love with this. I think it's got potential. It might get really cool. I thought it had a little bit of a rough opening. I don't know.
Well, if you do fall in love with it, I know it's got a 4400 thing.
Oh, of course it does.
Yeah,
naturally. When I say it had a rough opening for this time, it's weird because in my head, 2000 is not that long ago, but at the same time it is, and it's. I always think there's not that much of a difference between now and the early 2000s. There absolutely is, and I'm starting, as we get farther and farther away from certain decades, I'm starting to see like what the identity of those decades really is, and I'm seeing it kind of coalesce. And so, you know, there was a time where I was like, well, like the 70s and the 80s and the 90s each have like a real specific, you know, feel and flavor to them, and things changed a lot in just 10 years. But then you get to 2000, and it's kind of just more 90s at first, and then it felt like it was more, well, it's kind of just what we're at right now. And no, things have changed a lot. There's some things in this that are pretty dated, and it's a little bit hard for me to put myself back in that period, and a lot of it's because it's supposed to be futuristic, and it feels like very much a pre 9/11 vision of the future, which is weird because it's just a year before 9/11 happens, but it's the kind of premise that you'd think that someone would come up with after 9/11, but handled with pre-9/11 sensibilities. So that kind of feels funky. The music and stuff just dates it a little bit, and that's, again, not a problem when it's set in that time period, but this is in the far-flung future of 2019, which is next year.
Wow.
And we didn't get any of that right. But that's...
Escape New York is 1995.
But, to be fair, it's also an alternate future, so that helps it a lot, because there's a big EMP that went off and messed up all the technology. So when you say it's cyberpunk, you kind of accept the technology doesn't work right.
So it's not cyber.
No, not. I mean, there's cyber stuff in it, but it's mostly it's more of like a mix of like cyberpunk and, you know, No Man's Land or something.
Sure.
Where, I mean, there is. We haven't lost society or anything, but there are just a lot of people.
It's not post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, it's not post-apocalyptic. It's not exactly dystopian, but there's. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit closer to something like an Escape from New York future or something. Mm-hmm. Like we're not, you know, at the Escape from New York place,
but we're on our way.
But we're maybe on our way there. But anyway, so the idea is, but we mix in a lot of different science fiction ideas in this. So, Jessica Alba plays a genetically engineered character who is a thief. And she has kind of some superpowers. I don't know exactly everything she's able to do. She's got like telescopic vision, and I think she maybe has some like super agility, and she might have super strength, but I'm not sure yet.
Reflexes.
Yeah, she might have heightened reflexes. I'm not sure what exactly all she's able to do. She's just sort of like heightened in general. And
she's like Huntress in Birds of Prey.
She's a lot like that, exactly, and that's what I was going to say. And the idea, which is funny because that's like right after this, it's very much that era. And I got a real Birds of Prey vibe off of this, and I appreciated that about it. And it's that gritty street level thing that you expect from James Cameron. Mm-hmm. Like he does look very, very Cameron. It's like if James Cameron made a TV show and didn't have the money to do the show he really wanted to make, and that's part of why I say the pilot's a little rough. It wants more money. It really wants more money.
Interesting.
But anyway, so Jessica Alba is a thief, and she's fencing things. She's hawking stuff, and she goes and steals things so that she can then fence them. But she keeps winding up in situations where she has to decide between making her living and helping people, and she kind of ends up being sort of like a begrudging superhero. And through the course of this, she ends up, like I said, teaming up with this guy who has been putting up all these ominous messages everywhere about how the government is controlling you, and here's all the corruption in the government, which is funny because I feel really cynical for saying this, but it's acting like in the future the government is taking advantage of the EMP and is doing all of these things that I kind of hear people just talking about right now already. The government is always doing. So it doesn't really feel futuristic.
Are they monitoring everything?
Yeah, they're monitoring everything.
Oh no!
And they're orchestrating a lot of things behind the scenes, and a lot of stuff that you think is really happening. There's a lot of conspiratorial stuff in this, of course. And
it's X-Files.
Sure. And so So this guy who's running this kind of cyber rebellion, kind of puts her in places where where she can help people, and so she starts making that I guess more of a priority, but she's still, you know, fencing stuff. And so anyway, we start getting some background about her genetic engineering and her kind of Weapon X days. And I thought that she was probably just a genetically engineered human, but she's actually built from the ground up.
Oh, she's like a replicant.
Yeah, kind of. They call her a chimera, and the idea is she's a hodgepodge of a bunch of different things, and so so they try to make an identity thing out of this, where she doesn't know who she is and what she wants to be and what she's about, because she's a blend of a whole bunch of different things. And I don't know exactly what that means yet. Like, because she's obviously a person, and she doesn't have, like, animal parts and stuff, but maybe the idea is, I don't know if it's supposed to be that, like, she gets her powers and stuff from animal DNA.
Speed of a cheetah, eyes of a hawk.
Yeah, they don't say that, or at least I don't remember them saying that.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
no, I'm just saying I don't remember them saying that. But that's all I can figure. Like, I don't know what the amalgamation thing means exactly. I was confused on that. And this is just on a first viewing, and watching more of the series, maybe I'll get more of a sense of what it's doing. The big and I hate to disagree with David, because he part of the reason he wanted me to see this was because he said you complain sometimes about Jessica Alba's performances, but she's really good in the show. I disagree. I don't really care for her here. She's trying real hard to carry her own show. I don't feel like she carries her own show. I had a hard time watching her, not thinking of like 5 other actresses from this period that would be more suited for this role. I kind of feel like she's a little miscast, and I might get just used to her performance or start to like her better as it goes along. But I had too many of the issues I've had with her in other things I've seen, especially the Fantastic Four movies, where there's just way too much deer in the headlights. Like, there's places where I am convinced that Jessica Alba thinks that she looks different when she's making certain facial expressions than she does.
That makes complete sense.
There are places where I feel like she thinks she's communicating something different with her eyes than she is, because it just doesn't look like there's anything behind them. So she'll think she's doing like a real pensive, like 100-yard stare, and it looks like a vacant expression to me. And that takes me out every time.
I only liked her in one thing.
Yeah, and it's not even the thing I like her in. I think she's really good in Sin City. You don't even like her there.
I don't like her there. No, the only movie I ever liked her in is Idle Hands, where she plays a normal person.
I've never heard of that. Wow.
It's not bad. You wouldn't like it, but it's not bad.
She at least doesn't have
comedy.
She at least doesn't have the Fantastic Four thing where I'm supposed to buy that she's like a genius or a scientist. I guess she's not a genius in that, but like she's a scientist. Because I just never bought that with her. She's not supposed to be like a super genius in this, but she is supposed to be kind of a master tactician. But I guess you can explain a lot of that stuff away with just inherent skill she has being what she is, as opposed to anything she's learned how to do. But she's supposed to be this like this like really skilled badass motorcycle chick, and they make a big deal out of her motorcycle. We've been talking a lot lately about how motorcycles aren't cool anymore. She talks about
they were in 2000.
Yeah, she talks about saving up money to buy a new motorcycle in this. Like, she loves her motorcycle. She's all about the motorcycle.
I always think of Jessica Alba. She is in my head like the textbook like model that we try to get to act.
That's how I felt about her here. Her line deliveries aren't terrible. I mean, like, I don't think she's... Here's the thing. I don't think she's a poor actress. I don't think she communicates things right with her face sometimes. That's the main thing for me, is just these weird looks and stares she gives where I'm not getting what I think she's trying to give me. That's tough. One of the things that's fun about this for me is a lot of character actors that I recognized from this period. This is shot in Vancouver. You can tell with all the actors from the Canadian pool there that they're shooting in Vancouver. Principal Kwan is in this because Principal Kwan is in everything. And then Principal Kwan from Smallville. You've got Captain Ransom from Equinox and Voyager. He's in this, and just a couple of years after that. He looks exactly like he did in Equinox. And then, who else? There were one or two other people that one of the main supporting characters who's this kind of, who works for her, who I guess works with her, and has been like sleeping around on his girlfriend and tries to get her to help him get out of it. There's a lot of guys like not treating women right in this, and her kind of helping women get their comeuppance with that. It's a real kind of. A lot of it is real, like women fighting back in a man's world kind of thing, but that guy is played by the bug guy, Cryptofreak.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like I know him from something else too. I feel like when I first
he's a character actor. I've seen him in one or two other things.
So I have a question.
Yeah,
within
sure.
this pilot, does she get dirty?
What do you mean?
Like, does she just look like gorgeous Jessica Alba all the time, or does she have like kind of like grease smeared on her and like is she dirty?
Not really.
Okay, because
that's kind of a typical TV thing.
Well, but James Cameron came out against Wonder Woman, saying that she's not a strong female because she looks beautiful. And then when you go back and look at all his things...
But here's why he's wrong. Because Wonder Woman is a goddess.
No, I don't agree with him.
Yeah.
But and then when I thought about all of the...
thing I thought about, it is a really, like I said, kind of grimy looking world. It didn't occur to me like whether or not she is reflecting that. I don't think so.
That's interesting. Just given that he kind of said that, and like I looked at his filmography,
but I wouldn't
like,
notice.
Oh yeah, all of his strong women
I would notice because the screen is so dark all the time in this show.
Mm.
I don't think I would have ever even thought of it.
Interesting. Well, and it's just because he made that comment about Wonder Woman.
This is not terrible. It's entertaining enough. I think it's a little bit. I think that pilot is stretched out a little bit. But I'll watch one or two episodes and I might try to check back in with it with you folks. So I don't know, a little bit of a lukewarm recommendation for me on this, just with that pilot. But a lot of that's casting and some pretty typical, you know, late '90s, early 2000s, just stuff that's not holding up real well.
Tangential fun fact.
Yeah.
That show is the reason we are getting Battle Angel Alita later this year.
Why?
Based on that show, Guillermo del Toro. I don't know why he was hanging out with James Cameron, but he was hanging out with James Cameron, and he gives him Battle Angel Alita. He's like, I think you'll love this.
Oh.
And then that started.
I didn't realize that was the show.
Yeah, and then that started a over a decade long crusade of James Cameron trying to get that movie made. So that show is the reason that we're now getting a movie later this year.
Interesting. But yeah, I'll take a look more at that. And like I said, I just watched the pilot, and I saw it real late at night, so I'm sure there's stuff I'm missing and things I should have talked about. But I'll try to check back in on that. And then Eric and I also both listened to, and thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah.
I mean, not with me, we didn't listen to it together. We didn't sit around drinking tea and crumpets and
we
listening
both
to an
put
audio.
An earbud in one ear. We just sat next to each other.
But we listened to the Doctor Who audio drama Spare Parts, which was suggested to us by Joey Crouch, and thanks a lot, Joey, for your support on the channel. He gave us this a couple weeks ago, and he gave me a couple of options, and I picked this one because Origin of the Cybermen kind of sounded interesting to me. I don't know anything about the Fifth Doctor, and I guess it's a little, or I didn't, and I guess it's a little bit weird going into an audio drama for a version of Doctor Who that I've never actually sat down and watched before, but I kind of wanted a little bit of exposure with it, and I'll say, I think that kind of thing with Doctor Who works perfectly. I think Doctor Who works as well as an audio drama as it does as a TV show, and I would like to listen to more of these. My biggest takeaway from this was just, oh, I think I like listening to Doctor Who as well or better than I like watching it. People have always told me the audio dramas are great and I should watch them, and this is like a theater of the mind thing. Doctor Who is so often so minimalistic that, you know, I've been doing this with Twilight Zone lately too. There's a Twilight Zone audio drama where they actually go back and do, you know, real episodes from that show. And there's some really cool guest stars in that. Adam West does an episode. I haven't listened to that one yet.
Cool.
But I've been doing that, and those kinds of shows are just perfect for this theater of the mind kind of idea.
Well, I should say, coming into this, I've listened to a lot of these.
Okay.
I have listened to a lot of the Eighth Doctor's individual adventures. Then he gets his own, like, it's just called the Eighth Doctor's Adventures, and I've listened to the first 2 series of that. So I've listened to a lot of these, but specifically the Eighth Doctor, because that's going to be the easiest one to get into because there's no continuity. I think of all the Doctors, the 5th is the one I have the least sense of. Like, I haven't seen a lot with 7 or 6, but, like, I have a sense of what those guys are like. I have no idea what the 5th Doctor is like, and so it was weird to listen to this, and I was like, yeah, I don't really know what the 5th Doctor is like.
The main thing I got from it is that for whatever reason with this regeneration, he lost a lot of his confidence. That's the big thing I got from it. And he's got he's got a line, I can't remember what exactly it is. Kind of early on where he says something about that, where he's like where he's like, man, there was a time where I could have handled this better.
But what I don't know is, because the audio dramas keep like a continuity, I don't know if that's a previous adventure or if that is his Doctor.
Yeah.
Like, it could be we just had an adventure where, like, he lost his confidence. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Or it could be right after Adric. That's the one thing I know about 5th Doctor is he loses a companion. That companion actually dies.
Oh,
That's the one thing I know.
That's crazy.
But this is the 3rd Genesis of the Cybermen that I've partaken in. I don't know. See, so this episode, the only thing I've ever known about this episode is that it is supposedly the basis for the 2-part Cybermen story in David Tennant's era, which is kind of a Genesis of the Daleks, but in an alternate dimension. I don't see that. Like, this story is not that story. Like, other than
do it at all.
Yeah, other than that, it is the Genesis of the Cybermen. Like, I don't think you had to credit this episode. And then also, the most recent season finale of Doctor Who is a canonical Genesis of the Cybermen.
Oh, okay. So that's probably weird going back to this because you now have one that's actually in canon.
Well, here's the thing. I'm still waiting for a definitive Genesis of the Cybermen. I've now seen 3 different versions, seen 2 different versions, and heard a version.
Yeah.
I don't love any of them.
You don't love any of them?
I'm not saying this is a bad adventure. I don't know, like, it seems like all 3 of them go a really weird route to get to the Cybermen.
So, let me suggest, let me tell you what I liked about this as the origin for the Cybermen and what I didn't care for it. It is classic science fiction and classic Doctor Who in dealing with a society. I mean, it's funny. It has a lot of things in common with Krypton, where you have a society that is falling apart. They're trying to figure out a way to save themselves, and in trying to save themselves, they overcompensate and they go too far and they get too big for their britches, and it goes beyond just trying to save the society and just the people, and goes to, oh well, if we can do that, let's try to be immortal too. You know, let's just go all the way. Like the world of Krypton does exactly the same thing. And so you end up losing your humanity because you don't even know what you're living for anymore. And I like that a lot. That's how you would end up getting to the Cybermen. I like the idea that the Cybermen idea is an extension of like how they talk about rank and the jobs that you do in their society. That like whatever your occupation is, you put man on the end of it, Dr. Man. I liked that a lot. That was a really cool idea. I don't have any issue at all with the notion that this is the society that produces the Cybermen and how exactly that happens. But the idea that the Cybermen are all based on the Doctor is weird.
That's weird.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay, can I tell you what my issue is? And it's my issue with all 3 of these origins of the Cybermen. I've always thought the Cybermen were a society that got to this point to further themselves. In all 3 of these, it's always like...
Why did you think that, though?
That's just always the impression. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know enough.
Well,
really.
And I can see why you think, because they have so much in common with the Borg.
Yeah, I've always thought that they were a society of, like, human people that, like, to elongate their life or to protect themselves or whatever, they become this thing. In all 3 of these, it always starts as, like, people getting duped into it.
Yeah.
And that's not how I see it. But I also don't know Doctor Who well enough for maybe to even have my own version.
And I didn't even have any expectations or assumptions about that.
Yeah, I don't know. In all 3 of these, it's always kind of people being duped into it, and, like, they accidentally or are, like, there's, like, a sinister force that tricks them into being Cybermen, and then, like, now you're Cybermen. It's not how I see it, but I'm not the biggest Doctor Who fan in the world. Maybe this is all exactly the way it should be, but that's what's interesting about the Cybermen to me.
Yeah.
Not saying I dislike this audio drama. It's just I was hoping that this would be the one. Like, I'm like, all right, I've seen 2. This is going to be the one that's going to do just the society that becomes Cybermen. And it's not. That being said, it's really good.
Yeah, it's longer than it needs to be.
It is longer than it needs to be. And all of the other audio dramas I listen to are shorter, or they're like 2-part. They're like 2-parters.
Well, to be fair, this is in 4 parts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got a track that you can listen to all together. It's 2 hours, but I don't know if you noticed, it's broken up into 4 half-hour episodes.
Yeah.
You know, it ends with the theme, and then it comes back, and it does a 20-second recap.
Yeah.
Like it is in 4 parts, and I guess I like that a little bit because it felt like I was watching an old school Doctor Who season, because they're always broken up like that,
mm-hmm.
where you'll have a story beginning, middle to end, and it's in several chapters.
Mm-hmm.
This felt like that, but I thought you could have done it in 2. It didn't need 4.
No,
I thought you easily could have cut half of this out.
No, I agree completely. It's very long, and it's interesting because like this is one I've always heard talked about as like this is one of the best ones. This is one of the big.
And
ones.
you actually listen to a lot of these.
I've listened to a lot of the 8th Doctor ones. I don't know, like it's good. But like it's that thing where like I think it's of quality of Big Finish. Like I very few things I've listened to from Big Finish I'm like, well, that was bad. It's not bad. It's good. They have a really high bar of quality. I don't know if I think it's great, but I also don't know the 5th Doctor, and I don't know what came right before this in the 5th Doctor's audio dramas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're not familiar with or used to his rapport with that companion.
Yeah. Like I feel like there's a lot that coming into it. A lot of negatives is the wrong word. Handicaps that I have on myself.
Yeah,
where I'm like, well, I don't really know this doctor. I don't really know this companion. I don't know what the status quo is when we come into this. Like, there's a lot of things I
have
don't
it worse
know.
than you do because you've seen more Doctor Who than me. You've seen it more recently. You've got more of that in your head. And you and I have talked about this. Doctor Who is a thing that, while it has a whole lot of history, it is really easy to jump around, and that stuff doesn't always inform other things, and it's not like Star Trek where it's this real tight-knit continuity. So like I wanted to think that I could get away with listening to a Doctor that I wasn't even familiar with, and I kind of felt like I did. Like okay. I didn't have what you did as much. I had an okay sense of him.
I felt like I was like, I don't know what makes this Doctor. Like I'm trying to, and like maybe that's why I'm a little bit more checked out. Where I'm like, I'm trying to figure out who this guy is.
Yeah, he's definitely more trepidatious than other Doctors.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. I don't want to come off like super negative. Like I'm not. Like it's good. It's long, but I like it. And like a lot of things I can say about are things I would say about any big like. Across the board, everyone's good acting wise. Like there's never like a line reading where I'm like, really, that was the take you went with? Like
yeah, there's a lot of fun, clever banter. You always expect that in Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's like they make really good high quality products, and they do it for like a lot of different things.
And it's got the creepiness factor you would expect, especially with a Cyberman story and a story getting us to the Cybermen.
Well, and it has that thing where I want to say it was Andy Diggle. I once read someone talking about like writing Doctor Who, where they were like, well, when I grew up, I didn't see a lot of it on TV, but I read the novelizations. And he's like, that's almost kind of the better version to do it, because it's all in your imagination.
Yeah. This
has to be that, like, that early Cybermen, where, like, they're in, like, the bandages, like in the movie, where, like...
Yeah,
which is just one of the greatest images, where he, like, roller skates on the screen, smoking a cigarette, just Cybermen. There's no silly component to it. Like, by taking away the visuals, you don't have to deal with...
No, but there's still a quirkiness... Even in what they sound like in the audio, but of course everyone's playing it perfectly straight.
Yeah. It kind of works. Maybe for me, with a lot of the older Doctor stuff, why I've gravitated towards like the Big Finish for some of that is I don't have to deal with the fact that it doesn't look great. It's way more. If you like me have
it still
issues,
has the charm of it.
Yeah. If you like me. It's sometimes a line too far. You're
imagining the Cybermen the way they looked, but in better video quality.
Yeah. If you like me, like kind of have trouble with old Doctor Who because it looks so cheap. This you don't have that with this. Like it feels. I think it feels scarier than I would think it would, because like I know what Doctor Who looks like. Yeah. It's a lot. It looks like a stage, right? Like there's lights everywhere. Like I imagine this very dark and like it I think it works really well.
Well, and there are some like it's using its medium to its full advantage. Like it doesn't wish it was on TV. It gets what audio drama is, of course. And there's a scene in particular that's really unnerving in audio that I don't imagine would be as unnerving if you put it on screen. When that girl gets transformed into one of the first Cybermen, and there's a lot of discussion, of course, about whether or not if you get turned into a Cyberman you're still there, and what happens to the soul, and we keep talking about how like none of you is left, you're all machine, but then there's sometimes there's sometimes a sense that there's still a residue of the human left. There's this girl that gets turned into one, and she's able to kind of like reconstitute a consciousness inside this thing, and she keeps just like yelling out for her dad behind the Cyberman, and it's really creepy. It's really sad. I don't know if that works as well on screen.
They actually do something kind of like that in the finale for the most recent season.
Well, and I can think of a couple of points in I think...
But I do think it works better in this audio drama that did there.
I can't remember exactly what it is. There's one where they're on like a moon base or something, and there's a... Man, it's been too long. I don't know if I can even if I can even spell this out, but they're on a moon base, and there's some kind of a... I don't remember if it's a virus or what exactly it is, but there's a thing that's transforming people, and there's a consciousness of a girl that's in a machine, and she's like kind of you get like the like a residue of her, like she is. I mean, I'm trying to remember what exactly it is, but anyway, it basically is the scene. But it kind of works because it's just like lights on a helmet, and it's just the minimalism of the thing.
Yeah.
I cannot articulate that. It's been like 5 years since I watched that, but anyway.
But yeah, it's good. I wanted to love it, and I didn't love it, but it's still good. Like I wouldn't say like don't listen. Like it's still good.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm suddenly more in the mood to look at Doctor Who things after having done this. Like I think I was put in the right mood for that because we watched Adventure in Time and Space, which we talked about in how we felt about on the Omnibus today, or in. Where was it? No, it was in He Made Me Watch, because you made me watch that.
Well, and it's funny because I listened to Spare Parts, and that was where I was like, oh, I should make Cat watch Adventure Time and Space. Yeah, no, it put me in a very Doctor Who mood. I'm talking about potentially with my girlfriend going through all of Doctor Who. We'll see if that happens.
That's cool.
And if I do, I will give updates on where I am and how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah, no, you should. And I'll maybe try to go back and watch a little bit as well. I mean, I'm not going to commit to it because I don't have the time, but I'll try to watch at least some.
You can get a hold of it, because that's the big thing right now is just a paywall. But
oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh, so you're talking about going back before modern, because I want to revisit at least the modern stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about going back to the beginning and trying to do all of Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It's yeah.
Good luck getting a hold of it all. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's all on Amazon. You just have to pay. You have to pay $6.99 a month. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, but I might.
You could do it for the duration.
Yeah.
And just knock it out as fast as you can.
Take.
That's true. That could be quite a duration. Well, anyway, that's going to be it for You Made Me Watch. And once again, if you'd like to make us watch something, you can either donate on Patreon. It's the $20 tier there. You can do it one time or regularly if you'd like to do that. And of course, we really appreciate everybody who's been doing that for us. It's really cool. Everybody who's been supporting the channel in that way. And if you have something, just one thing that you are dying to have us look at, and you want to make sure that your request is looked at and that we'll talk about it for you, go to the email address in the description, send me an email, and let me know what it is that you'd like us to look at, and we'll let you know if that's a thing that we can track down and talk about for you, and then you can send us a PayPal, and that's how we handle that. So anyway, once again, that is it for today's You Made Me Watch.